Good morning, good afternoon, and if you're coming home from working a long 9 to 5, hope you're having a great one as we bring to you another edition of Talktagon via Bodyslam.net. I am your host, Rami Hanna. Right next to me is our good old friend Max, who had a phenomenal week and ending to this
Oh yeah,
crazy ass freaking card. The
I'll take
UFC
it.
the UFC was in Paris, France this past weekend, following up after WWE's visit to Paris for Clash in Paris. Now, the UFC wanted to get in on that chaos at the Accor Arena in Paris, France, for what was to be a very unforgettable card, and it definitely boosted up the UFC's passion to be able to go back there for another year. I believe this
Yeah.
following 2026, we will get another Paris card. Hopefully, we get two because this crowd, just like Shanghai, is
hmm
electric. They
Yeah.
they love they love the UFC. They love mixed martial arts. They love combat sports, and it was a phenomenal card from start to finish. So many different moments, new contenders rising, dominant performances from people that we should be seeing in a championship picture in the near future. It's gonna be so much fun. But if you're tuning in for the very first time, of course, this is like an hour and 30 minutes of a show. We yap. Randy's gonna be cranking his hog in the next 30 minutes or so,
The
and it's gonna
goat.
it's gonna be always a great fun time. Exactly, the goat, Randy himself. But we did get this here before the show started. Today is National Ice Cream Soda Day, and if you went through all the pain that you did this past weekend in the UFC, you're gonna need one because, of course, craziness, elbows galore, so much ground and pound, and there was just moments where we just did not know what was going to happen. There was jaws of steel, there was quick flash knockouts, there was dominant performances, there was so much. So let's get right into the action. We had off with women's strawweight action between Shauna Bannon and Sam Hughes. Last time we saw Shauna, she had an armbar win in about less than a
Yeah.
minute.
That was a
Sam
crazy one.
Hughes Sam Hughes has been trying to work her way up and everything, get back into this picture where she shows that she's a true contender. And
hmm
this fight was definitely that fight that she needed to have. I was very hesitant on who to pick, and
Yeah.
in the end, we picked the right choice. Sam Hughes,
Clutch.
very dominant, very clutch, very dominant. As soon as the
hmm
fight starts off, Shauna was trying to go for her usual striking, trying to get some of that clinch exchange, but she got taken down, and it was not a fun game for her. To where
Yeah.
Sam Hughes has incredible crisp elbows. It was just rarely the whole time full guard and just knuckling up on her. I thought
hmm
in the first round we were going to see an ending,
Yeah.
but then we got to the second round, and it essentially continued the same way that we saw it as. But then, of course,
One-way
Sam gets the
traffic.
back, gets the choke, and then puts Shauna Bandit out cold, um, which she did not earn herself a performance of the night. This was the first fight of the night, and this was the first finish of the night as well. She did not get a finish. There were uh, four bonuses went to the men's side tonight. None for the women, of course. Even though we only had one female fight, it feels like Dana White stopped listening to me. After 2.5 weeks, he was like, you know what? Women's fights. What do we do with them? And I'm like, well, brother, we could do a lot. But, they only wanted to do one, kick it off with that, and we got a big finish. Um,
Yep. Sam
it was a
Hughes, dude.
crazy, it was a crazy, I want to say this too, it was a crazy preliminary card because if you were watching this card, start of the morning, 9 in the morning, I believe, yeah, Saturday, after Formula One qualifying, and I was already on top of the world because I was like, hey, Max Verstappen got pole position. I'm very happy about that.
Life
But
is
then we get
good.
into these. Exactly, life is good and everything. Monza was a perfection for that yesterday. But then we get into this, and it was just not, finish after finish after finish. But let's start off with, of course, Sam Hughes getting the submission rear
Yep.
naked choke, which I thankfully predicted right on verdict, and I got a
Sure.
massive,
I
freaking
saw that.
payoff of it. I was like, holy moly! What were your thoughts on this big submission win for Sam
Yeah.
Hughes
I
over
was impressed,
Shauna
dude.
Bannon?
Bannon showed that she has some form of grappling after that last fight where I think if I'm remembering this right, she got dropped with a head kick and then somehow got the submission afterward.
Yeah,
So
armbar
she's
submission.
a crazy, crazy had a bit of a crazy performance in her last fight. We've seen her lose and then have a split decision. So I was pretty confident in Hughes going in because even though Hughes kind of was rocky coming into the UFC, lately she's been on a nice little roll here, 3 in a row now. So I'm excited if she can keep the ball rolling. The grappling, like you said, was really good and really persistent. She never gave in, and it was pretty much consistent the entire time of her just dominating and controlling the fight. So great work from her.
Great work from her, and it was just a very dominant win, as you said. It needed to be for her to prove herself, especially against Shauna Bannon, who's only had one loss in her career. It's the second one, and it it was just crisp. That whole exchange of just taking her down, keeping her down, getting the back, making her nervous to where she put her arm down, and as soon as that happened, trying to gain a wrist of Sam Hughes, the choke got locked in immediately, and then it was good night Irene.
Yeah, she had the strength advantage for sure, dude. She's strong.
For sure. Sam, if she continues to get in that gym and, of course, dominate the way that she's been doing, then we could definitely see her in bigger pictures.
Yeah.
Our next fight, another finish. Welterweight division, Renat Fakardinov is his name? Fakardinov against Andreas Gustafsson. I and you both picked Gustafsson because I assumed the Gustafsson name would live up to another big-ass performance, but I should have known how crazy that Renat was, because as soon as this fight starts, all you see is a bunch of piecing of the action. 20 seconds in, Gustafsson did not look like he was going to be ready for any type of exchange, and then he got pushed against the cage and just dropped immediately, pounded on, and there was the win in 54 seconds for Renat Fakardinov.
Makes us look dumb.
Very, very dumb. Very, very. I mean, look
very
at
dumb. We're not cooking enough.
We were code red over here. There was nothing that we could do besides just shrug our shoulders and say, "Hey, that's the fight game for you." The theater of the unpredictable had another one this past weekend, but with that finish, it still wasn't a bonus. How do you get back-to-back finishes in the prelims? And they're no.
Bro, 40-second KO, not enough.
What's crazy too is that there's all the fights were ended in finish, but it took all the way till the fifth fight of the prelims for them to say, "Here's a bonus."
For real, dude, they're greedy with the bonuses.
And when we get to that bonus, they're gonna be like, "This is the reason why for the bonus." And I'm not even dissing on either fight. But when we get to it, you're like, really? But what were your thoughts on Renat getting this big win, 54 seconds flash?
I knew he had a chance to win, but I was going with the underdog here, Gustafsson. And after how he did it, Chaos Williams, I was like, okay, he already did me dirty one time when I picked Chaos, and he made him look dumb and made him look like he had no idea what he was doing with Gustafsson. Gustafsson has such a weird, crazy style where he just goes forward and swings no thoughts whatsoever, just swinging. So I was hoping that would be able to get it done, but Renat was locked in, composed, and pretty much instantly was able to get the timing of it and caught him early on and didn't let up until he was out of there. So very impressive performance from Renat. And I think now 6-0-1 in the UFC. So this dude's looking like an absolute beast. I'm excited for him get another tough fighter, and we'll see if he can keep the ball rolling because this dude's dangerous.
Very dangerous. I believe they only said he has one loss in his entire career or so. He's just been so dominant. He's been so crazy. I wish I would have said, "Hey, I know who's gonna win this one," but not. But I feel like
I was riding the underdog.
There was so much weird tension throughout the night, and because look at this, all finishes. Whether it was there was only one third-round finish in the prelim card, and everything else was first round. It felt like a lot of fighters, they got into that cage, and they just felt some weird type of vibe, and they didn't feel comfy enough to be able to get into the hot zones, and it was just loss after loss after loss of just early finishes to where we were
dude. One fighter came to play, the other one went to sleep.
You know what I mean? Exactly. I completely agree with you. There was this one time where Darren Till fought Stephen Thompson on a card that was, I think, very freaking boring. And that's no diss towards any of the fighters, but maybe it might be. But there's been fights where we've seen the prelims go all the way distance, whether it was domination, or just like some lopsided
Yep.
victories and whatnot. But then when we see finish after finish after finish, it becomes a crazy world. Yeah, like at this the last time, with this fight, it was Fox Sports 1, Darren Till, Stephen Thompson, Jillian Robertson, Marlon McCann, Lena Landsberger versus Gina Manzani. Tom Breeze was still fighting at the middleweight division against Dan Kelly, Darren Stewart, Eric Spiley, Claudio Silva, Margaret Americani fought Jason Knight, Matt Burnell, who now fights for PFL, who's been pretty phenomenal for himself. He fought Arnold Allen. Neil Magny fought in a co-main against Craig White. Who's Craig White? And then Darren Till fought Stephen Thompson in the main event in a fight where Stephen was winning. We almost got a Woodley Thompson rematch, and then Darren Till dropped him in the 5th round. Darren Till got the win, went on to fight Tyron Woodley, and got destroyed. And there was like you remember that? Everyone was like Darren Till's like every dog has their day. They put him out there. He was big, and then he lost.
Future McGregor.
And the Kamaru Usman was the one to take out Tyron Woodley, and we're like,
oh yeah,
who's gonna stop Usman? And it took a flash knockout to stop him. Like the theater of the unpredictable, it never stops. And that's the same situation for welterweight, like Renat, who, if he can end his fighters in 54 seconds each time, if he can go in there and they fear his power, they fear his clinching, it's gonna be a bad night for a lot of his opponents. He could even move up to middleweight, fight Hamza Chimaev. It becomes one of those, you know what I mean? It becomes one of those situations to where you're so dominant, people fear you so much in a stand-up that if they have to take you down and you stuff them, then how are you gonna stop them? But that's the thing with Hamza Chimaev. We have not seen anybody really be able to stop his wrestling except Gilbert Burns, but Gilbert Burns was never the same again after that fight.
Yeah, true.
Good finish for
Gonna be a tall order.
This welterweight division is getting crazier by the fucking week.
Yeah,
and I cannot wait to see what happens more because we're seeing so many contenders grow that some people are like, oh, like Colby Covington, might not fight again. If he ever fights again, like he's too busy beating up streamers and making them puke. Like that's the only way you can win is by fighting somebody who does not train whatsoever.
He needs to get back in the win column.
If this welterweight division is growing and growing each and every single week, then we're going to be seeing crazy new contenders for guys like, of course, Jack Medellina, who has a big player in his hand with Islam Makhachev in the next couple of weeks or a couple of months or so. So that should be a lot of fun.
I'm hyped, dude.
Our next fight, middleweight division, Robert Brzezak against Brad Tavares. This was the only fight to go to the 3rd round and get a finish. I believe of the night. Hold on, let me go and correct myself. Actually, sorry, there was another fight, Axel Sola, and we'll get to him after, of course. But there's 2 fights, 3rd round finishes. Robert Brzezak against Brad Tavares. The first round was very crucial for Robert. He was landing some big shots. He was putting Brad Tavares against his back, against the cage. Tavares landed a good takedown. Looked like Robert was a bit gassed out. He survived it. He survived the second round.
Crazy round.
And then the second round was so weird, but you could tell Robert's game plan from the start. Wasn't throwing any punches, wasn't throwing any kicks, just pressuring the whole time Tavares against the cage to see what Tavares wanted to do. Tavares goes for the takedown, stuffed it. Another takedown, stuffed it. And then it was a little bit of like the feel-out process once again in the second round this time around. Rather than the first round, just feel the opponent, see how it goes. No, second round, he was trying to save up his energy, trying to get to that 3rd round, and then see what kind of game plan he can walk into with his coaches to see how he can finish off Brad Tavares. 3rd round comes into the way, and it was the same situation like the first round. Once he got pressured against the cage, had enough energy, he let off those big blows, dropped Tavares right onto his knees, and started landing those ground and pound blows to get the win. 3rd round, Robert Brzezak gets the big win here. No bonus. Like, seriously. So many finishes. No bonuses. Like, come on now. But what were your thoughts on Robert's big win, and how did you feel about seeing him preserve his energy all the way to the 3rd round so he can be able to get that big knockout?
That was smart from him. He almost got Brad out of there early, but saw that Brad's a tough veteran and he's not going to be able to get him out of there, and then was smart in the second round, preserve his energy, because Robert is a huge middleweight, man. He is absolutely
He
jacked.
really is.
So I could see why maybe he would gas out if he didn't, just because he has so much muscle, so much mass, and probably cuts a lot of weight to even make weight. And he bought his time, and against a savvy veteran like Brad, who's been in there against the best of the best for years and years now, guarding the top 15 for the last basically a decade at this point. And he's always putting on a tough fight, but in this case, Robert was too good and got his first UFC win after losing to Ihor Potieria in his debut. So I was a little worried. That's why I picked Brad, but he showed me that he's wrong. And that little post-fight speech was so funny where he messed up his English. It was so wholesome where he was like, don't follow, he's like, make sure, guys, always remember, give up and don't follow your dreams. I'm like, oh my God.
It was so freaking funny. It was so funny too because I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah,
Is
I
he
was
saying
like,
the
wait a
right
minute,
thing here?
run that back. For real, dude. Oh my gosh. But yeah, dude, he showed that for real. He started out with a loss in his UFC career, but he got a tough matchup against Brad Tavares. Like I said, absolute veteran, fought the best of the best, but wasn't able to do it this time. So maybe Brad's getting a little up there, or maybe Robert is just, the real deal. We'll find out in due time.
We'll find out in due time, exactly. And then next fight, welterweight division, Sam Patterson fought Trey Waters. And this fight only lasted about 3 minutes or so. Sam Patterson, of course, domination, just being able to get in there, they exchange the blows, and then on that big blow to drop Trey, get the finish, and of course, walk away with another one. It really was like the type of prelim card where we were like, okay, what's gonna happen when we get to the second round? And then when we did for certain fights, it still ended up with a finish. And as well as this one, Sam Patterson, big win for him, of course, to continue his winning ways. What were your thoughts on this?
Yeah, dude, like we were talking about earlier, the welterweight division keeps getting these fun contenders, and these are two of the tallest guys in the division, absolute massive for the division, and Patterson showed that he was the better one of them, and, dude, put on an absolute beautiful show, and, man, Patterson, I think, yeah, he started out a little rough in the UFC, got knocked out in the first round, but ever since then, he's been knocking everyone out in the first round, so 4 straight first-round knockouts for Patterson now. So he's a really scary welterweight and only 29 years old, so plenty of time to keep these wins going and probably be ranked before we know it if he can keep this up.
Yeah, you're not wrong about that. And like you said, like we both said, welterweight division, it's stacking up. Middleweight division, it's stacking up. These guys are just, flowing. Whichever way they want to go to, they will choose one of these divisions and make it into a whole fireworks show.
Yeah.
And I cannot wait to see what happens more. Like, of course, big finishes all in this prelim. It's all about what happens next with their next fight because their opponent is not going to want to be, laying on their back. They're not going to want to be having their neck taken and submitted. Of course, it's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens with each fighter's next fight. Our next one was a newcomer against a very savvy UFC fighter who just does not want to be a stepping stone for anybody.
Nope.
Cal Fernandez against Harry Hardwick, who just came in from Cage Warriors. And by the way, if you look here, we were 2-2 heading into this.
We still had some hope.
It was some craziness, you know what I mean? Some absolute craziness that we saw. But Harry Hardwick came in on this from the Cage Warriors. And this was his first fight in the UFC in Paris. Massive, of course, crowd.
Yeah.
And it was a beating.
For real, dude.
He came in and he was prepared, he was excited, and then those leg kicks started to land from Cal, and then it was just more and more. It got to a point where you were just like, this is not it felt like a normal knockout. The way he collapsed on his stomach and the way that he was moving around, not being able to really stand up. You were thinking to the ref, like, come on, just end it already. Just end this fight, cut it already, get him out of here. And Fernandez picks up that big win. Once he felt comfortable, he was just fading the whole time and then just landing another leg kick over and over. 3 minutes and 20 seconds, just like how the last fight took 20 seconds more, but it was just more so about like picking apart your opponent and getting those big leg kicks. Fernandez gets it. Harry Hardwick comes into the UFC on his debut and loses. What were your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, it was a tough matchup coming in, but I was riding the underdog again. I was feeling good. I was like, all right, it's coming in on short notice. Maybe the guy underestimates him and he gets it done, but nah, dude. Fernandez was locked in from the start, and once those first leg kicks are hitting, it was over, dude. He couldn't really stand on either leg, and within like a minute, it was rough, dude. Like you could tell he was moving up a weight class. I probably should have put more thought into that going into the pick, but man, I was riding with the vibes, and I was going with Harry Hardwick. Him and his brother put on shows in Cage Warriors, but wasn't to be in the UFC this time around. Maybe they'll get another chance. We'll see. He did put on. He did show some heart fighting through it, and it was on short notice. That's the only reason maybe they bring him back. But yeah, it's either bring him back in at 145 instead of 155, or maybe back to Cage Warriors. It's tough, man. Well, I was riding with him, but man, it was a tough matchup though. Fernandez, we've seen him look really good, so he definitely didn't have any favors with that one.
I'm definitely going to be riding on that cloud of he needs to come back to the UFC, of course, with Harry Hardwick, and we need to see at least one more performance from him,
Yeah,
especially
at his right weight
full
class.
full training camp, right weight class, everything perfect. You know what I mean? I have like a sneeze building up, but it's not wanting to let out, so I'm like, I don't know what to do right now. I don't know
Hey,
if I should just pause and sneeze, but I don't know. It won't let me. But no,
that's the worst,
I would like
bro.
I would like to see Hardwick return, get himself a full training camp, get right weight class, and then see what he can do. Because of course it was few days notice, and it just felt like it was too much pressure on him. But that's how the UFC gets. You gotta have all this pressure on you. But I wanted to mention that was the first performance of the night bonus. A
Finally.
fighter taking out a newcomer was like, you know what?
Yeah, for on
Bonus,
short notice,
bonus.
going up a weight class.
Thanks for putting down Cage Warriors, pal. Here's an extra 50K. Like what?
Bro.
Like come on, man. Like
I know.
get
I
out of
know we
here.
picked Hardwick, but the odds were massively in Fernandez's favor. For real.
Oh
That's a
yeah,
good point. That's a good point. Taking out a newcomer gets you a bonus. Meanwhile, if you're an
you know what I mean?
underdog getting a win,
Exactly. Our next fight was a rematch. Ante Delija against Marcin Tybura. And I had DM'd Savage Jelly saying, "Oh, Tiberia's gonna go for the clinch the whole time," and we'll get into this right now. So
yeah, he tried it.
fight starts off. These two fought before. Delisha broke his leg fighting Martin Tibera, I believe, about a decade ago. They
Yeah,
finally fought each other
that is
again.
insane.
Tibera gets into the clinch and he's landing these knees. He's stomping on the foot. I'm like, oh, he's trying to take out the mobility so he can get that wrestling going. Okay, I see how it is. Once they get out of the clinch, all you needed was just a couple punches from Delija, and Tibera bounced back against the cage, took more blows, took more shots, and then down goes Tibera.
Yeah,
Anti Delija
crazy.
gets himself a big win in 2 minutes for his UFC debut. Like,
I didn't see
what
that
a
coming.
stoppage! What a stoppage! What a performance! Especially against Tibera, who last I checked, he was 27-9. Not only that, his last two fights, he's won by TKO, doctor stoppage.
Yeah.
He won by decision. The last loss they had was against Sergey Spivak, where they fought in a rematch, which it tends to show the rematches are not working in Tiberia's favor.
Good
You kind of got to
point.
think about that. You got to think about that for a second. He fought Aspinall for the first time ever in 2023, lost. He fought Taito Ivasa, won. But it's a weird little level to his game type of thing. Aspinall is this dominant heavyweight who's never lost, essentially, a clean way.
Mm,
And then Taito Ivasa is a guy where you piss him off enough and he gets into the right training camp, he can kill you. But if you piss him
yeah,
off enough and then you get into his head, you can kill him. So especially
yeah,
for heavyweights. Um, but big win for Anthony Delija. He was crying. He was emotional. This is the moment he's been waiting for to finally get into the
yeah,
UFC. Earned himself a performance of the night bonus for that 2-minute knockout, taking out Tibera, who is a very dominant heavyweight, and especially in a division where it's thinning. It's like Stephen King's movie, Thinning. You know what I mean? You don't know what the ending's gonna be for this heavyweight division. You don't know what's gonna happen
yeah.
next.
We needed
And
this in the heavyweights.
you need stuff like this. You need the Dana White Contender Series to bring in more heavyweights, to bring in these top contenders. Because the light heavyweight division, when John Jones left a few years ago, people were like, well, what's going to happen now? Jamal Hill came up out of nowhere. Yuri Prohaska came up out of nowhere. Pereira moved up his weight class. Glover Teixeira was ending his career. Those three guys became the new pillars for the division, and they all won the light heavyweight championship.
Yeah.
And then when it finally came time for them to show themselves, they proved themselves. The heavyweight division.
Yeah, we need that now.
Themselves?
Yeah, good point.
No one's proving themselves except for Tom Aspinall. He's the
Yeah.
only guy up there that's actually like, hey, I'm number one. Who's my next opponent? And they're like, hey, how about Cyril Gane, who beat up Tai Tuivasa? And like I said, it's very easy to beat Tuivasa.
Yeah, we saw
look like Cyril Gane.
Ty Burrow do it too. And then we see a PFL heavyweight lose. Yeah, so then maybe the PFL has better heavyweights than we thought because, yeah, dude, I was expecting Ty Burrow to win this one. Like I've seen Delija in PFL. He's definitely was one of the best heavyweights. Don't get me wrong, but I was thinking there's levels to this. We've seen these guys come in lately from these outside promotions get destroyed. So that's what I was thinking was going to happen again. But honestly, I love to see it, bro. I love to see it, bro. I always love to see UFC guys maybe underestimate these other guys. And then, I'm like, just because you're in the UFC doesn't mean you're better all the time, bro. It's like, it's a matter of who's better on the night, not who fights for the better promotion. So shout out to him, bro. Huge upset. We definitely did not predict that one. But he definitely did, and he made it look easy, dude. Round one, Tybura tried to stop the inevitable with his grappling, with his little clinch work against the cage, but once they're able to separate again, it was over. So, man, I love to see it. The one thing I will say is I think that he trains with Aspinall now, so if he keeps winning, he might have to face his new teammate, which would be a little awkward. But I'm sure, they'd be making money.
It would be awkward, but a fight like that, Aspinall against Delija in MSG next year, I think would be such a crazy, crazy fight that we can definitely see happening. And we mentioned Alex Pereira for a moment. I just saw a post right now from Sean Strickland where he's been training with Pereira for his fight against Magomed Ankalaev. And my question is, what does Sean know about wrestling? Aspinall is the best striker possible in the entire UFC. All you gotta do is land that big shot, and all you gotta do is stuff takedowns. If we're telling Sean Strickland to copy Magomed Ankalaev's, fight style, it's like asking, Jose Aldo to wrestle. He's not gonna do any of that, buddy. Like, come on,
bro. According to Strickland, he has some of the best wrestling, but we just never see it.
Exactly. He never wants to show it. He could have won back the title against Duplessis if he actually did that.
Clearly the wrestling was the weakness, for real.
Exactly. After featured co-main, we get to the featured prelim. Omar Sy against Brenson Ribeiro. A wow type of fight. I did not expect this to, of course, turn out the way that it did. Of course, fast-paced action. 4 minutes of just, this domination. What were your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, dude. I definitely got him aside. He had the momentum coming in. Only has one loss. He did lose to Menefield, but I think that Ribeiro is a little bit, maybe not quite UFC worthy anymore, where he's been kind of getting finished more and more often. We've seen him have some good wins, but I don't know. I'm not sold on him, but huge win by Sy. So it's probably more credit to Sy for making it look so easy because that was just dominance. And like you're saying about the light heavyweights, this is another light heavyweight that is, one of them coming in, making a wave. Had a tough loss, like I said, against Menefield, but no shame in that. Menefield's a tough fighter, especially coming in for your third UFC fight against him. So I think that if he can keep this going, throw him back in there early. He didn't take much damage at all, so may as well throw him back in there after that first round win for Umar Sy.
Exactly. And there's a lot of fights that have been falling out. There's a lot of fighters. Like this past weekend, I had no fucking clue we were supposed to see Patricio Pitbull fight. I'm like, he was supposed to fight this past weekend, and apparently his opponent didn't make way so much, when it did it. And then, of course, Pitbull was like, I want to fight true contenders, top guys. if that was the case, then why'd you sign up for this fight, pal? Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you think about it, I've never
Yeah.
heard of this guy before. He's not gonna get you to a title picture. So picking him was like, oh, I just want to kind of easy fight. But then when he didn't make weight, they're like, oh, I don't want the fight anymore. But I'm like, why? Like, you're Patricio Pitbull, pal. You know what I mean? Like, you're supposed to
Yeah. I'm like,
be
time is
ready for
running
anything.
out for him, dude. He's getting old and he's only
Exactly.
1-1 in the UFC. I'm like, what are you talking about? Contenders. I'm like, I mean, you beat Dan Ige, huge props for that, but I don't know. I'm
And
like, does that equal being a contender? I'm like, I don't know.
and he's featherweight, correct? Or
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
this upcoming weekend, Lopez and Silva. Is it a featherweight fight?
Yep.
Yeah, it's a featherweight fight. So does he fight the loser of this, or does he fight the winner? You know what I mean?
I have no idea.
Because here's the thing, Diego Lopez just fought for the championship, of course, and didn't go, of course, his way. But hey, he had a good performance. And then you have, Gene Silva, who's just killing everybody. If Pitbull gets in there with him, he's got to really use that wrestling game to his full advantage. But of course, good win for Sai. Ended up
Yeah.
the prelims. We ended off with a win.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, like at least we ended on a positive note. Like we still lost, had a losing record,
Bro,
but hey,
we
you know what I
needed
mean?
that
Like
big time.
anything could happen. Anything could happen. When we get to our next, of course, one, this was a while because I messaged to say I'm gonna go undefeated, and that
We
Mason
started
Jones
out
fight.
well.
That Mason Jones fight is gonna be so interesting if I can
Bro,
pick apart because
oh my god.
craziness, dude. That was amazing too. But let's get into the first fight. William Gomez against Robert Rushala. Featherweight division, pure domination. 30-27, 29-28, 29-28. It's a pure domination fight from Gomez, who comes into this and just takedowns, straights, jabs, kicks, teep kicks to the ribs against the cage. Everything that he had to do to put Robert out. He definitely had a great one. And Robert Rushala, I believe this was his first fight in the UFC. He just defeated Casper Formella this past last November for KSW. Prior to that, he had another, of course, KO win. He has been fighting for the KSW since 2025 years now, and just trying to dominate the performance there. He had won the interim KSW Featherweight Championship, and then he had lost for the official title, won the interim championship again, defended the interim championship, and then when they didn't want to give him the full title fight, he said, "Screw this shit, I'm going to the UFC," and had the opener for UFC Paris. I believe this was also his first fight in Paris as well. He's usually fought. Yeah, a majority of his career has been spent in Poland. So fighting in Paris for the first time ever, trying to beat someone like William Gomez, it was a wake-up call.
Matchup. Yeah.
It was a wake-up call, and it was also a tough matchup to where you have to prepare, even for guys like Gomez, who comes into this at the featherweight division. You don't know what to expect from him, and then when you see his wrestling come off loose, it's just something that you cannot handle. And then the striking as well is just very crisp. What were your thoughts on this big opener that reached us for the first time ever to the distance? And this was the first fight of the night to go to distance, and it was the opener to the main card.
Yeah, that's crazy. Where normally we're sometimes complaining we want more finishes, but in this one we couldn't get enough. So even though there wasn't a finish, I do think it was a good performance, and like you're saying, maybe just too much too soon for his UFC debut against William Gomez, who's 5-1 in the UFC now. His only loss is a split decision against Hyder Emil in his last fight, who we've seen Hyder Emil have great success. So, man, it's definitely a tough matchup, but he was definitely pretty proven on the regional scene, like you're saying, in KSW, former interim champ, and just goes to show about the levels, like we say all the time, man. Gomez showed that he's above, and in front of the French crowd had to feel good, man. So even though it wasn't a finish, dominant performance, I did kind of start tuning out after. I was like, all right, Gomez is dominating. Might finally there's gonna be a decision. I'm like, let me go grab a snack, come back. Okay, he's still dominating.
There was so many instances in this whole fight card where I was like, Man, I want to grab a Pop-Tart. Man, I want to grab some like a sandwich or something. Anything just so I can be able to eat and enjoy the fights. But I was awake like all night, like having to, of course, edit videos out, of course, in my new interview, which you can check out on the Bodyslam
Oh
Patreon.
yeah.
It'll be, on the YouTube tomorrow morning. But then I watched Formula One qualifying, of course, Monza, beautiful Italy, and then got into the Paris card. It felt like an international morning for me. I was like, golly,
Yeah.
and how do I Americanize it by getting a Pop Tart? Because I think that's the craziest thing in the world. But
Amen.
amen, man. God bless America. But anyways, but
Give me the pop.
uh, I agree. I agree. But Gomez, Robert, first fight to reach the distance, I was like, maybe we got too blessed and too like lucky with what we were dealing with that happened. But our next fight, controversy, some controversy for of course Reese McKee against Axel Sola. This was the welterweight division. Axel Sola coming into this one, of course, many rooting on him. I believe this was his debut. I don't know if it was.
I believe so.
It was his debut. Of course, Reese McKee has been in the UFC before, and it was just about upsetting the newcomer. But that wasn't the case. Axel Sola had some crisp striking. He worked his way into the clinch. He got himself some good knees out of it and a clean elbow out, and just continued it on. It was a bloody fight to where there was many moments where I thought to myself, is Reese gonna survive? Is he gonna, get himself out of here? Is he gonna pull off a big upset? Who knows?
Yeah.
Then
He hits
the
hard.
second round comes, exchanges. We see, how Axel Sola feels so comfortable in there. He was happy to be there finally in the UFC, and he was making everything pay off. And in the third round, after dropping, of course, McKee, getting his back and started landing some punches, Herb Dean called it off very quickly. I don't know if that was the right call. I personally feel it was because there's just too many strikes already happening from McKee, and I feel like any more would have definitely put him out, especially the position that he was in. But that earned Axel Sola his big UFC win. No bonus, shocking enough. We'll get a bonus into the next fight, but there was no bonus here for Axel. There had not been a single bonus since Andre Delicia's co-main featured prelim. Sai didn't get one. Gomez, of course, was not going to get one as a decision. But here, Axel Sola gets this big one. Very controversial, as people say. What were your thoughts on this?
Yeah, dude. I'm starting to feel bad for Reese McKee, man. He's always getting these tough matchups. He's now 1-5 in the UFC. Definitely a tough record to look at on paper, but he always puts up a good fight, and he always has the power to change the fight. I thought some of those shots landed a little better. It could have definitely made a huge impact on Axel. I feel like Axel is a little smaller in there versus McKee. Even though they're both listed at 6'2", I'm like, 6'2"? I'm like, I don't know. Axel might be lying about that one. Or maybe McKee's taller. Who knows? But I definitely think that McKee was the bigger man, but I think that Sola was definitely more agile in there and was able to move in and out better. And I was really impressed. Like we were saying all show about guys coming in on their debut, being outmatched. In this case, he did have a much easier matchup, I will say, where this guy's 1-4 coming in the UFC, where Charlie has to fight Gomes, who only has one loss in the UFC. So definitely a little bit of better matchmaking for Sola in this case. But McKee's no slouch, despite what his record looks like. He's a finishing machine on the stand-up, but unfortunately for him, Sola was the better man. And I don't know, McKee might have to go back to Cage Warriors, where he seems to dominate there, but just can't be able to jump under the UFC level and get wins consistently. And I'm excited for Sola because he's going to be an exciting fighter, only 27 years old. So lots of time to keep getting better. And that was a great first start for your UFC career, getting a finish in front of the French crowd. It can't go better than that.
Can't go better than that. And it was a good win, of course, for him. As people want to say, like, oh, there was controversy. All I saw was just domination.
Yeah.
From Sola.
I could see it both ways, but I'm like, it was going one way.
Exactly. Especially, you don't want someone to continue to get continuous blows to the head, and then the crowd asks you, "Hey, why didn't you stop the fight?" I'd rather be protective of the fighters than have fight another day. You know what I mean? You have another day to fight, and then you'll be back, and you'll probably be better than ever.
Yep.
Our next fight, Mason Jones against Bolaji Oki.
This one is
And
madness.
this one was nuts. And I saw punk ass little bitch Aiden Ross on Twitter mad because
Everyone's
Oki
least
lost.
favorite.
Everyone's least favorite loser.
Facts.
But he was crying, complaining because he put a big bet on Oki, and Oki did not come out with a big win. It was a crazy outcome. And for a fight fan, you'd be like, wow, that was awesome. For Aiden Ross, you just look like a fucking loser. That's all you
For real, dude.
really
This is
are.
what's wrong with betting,
But
though. These
Bolaji,
fucking degenerates think that
they
just
don't know
because
how
they
to
made
bet
a
right.
bet, for real,
Like
though. I'm like,
bet
just
like
because
me,
they
bet
made a
like me,
bet
pal.
doesn't mean shit.
Bet like me. Look at all that red. You know what I
For
mean?
real,
That's
bro.
money right there, pal. Come
Long
on.
term, though, Rami with the fucking good bets, for real, though. Beautiful.
Really, honestly,
Kicking my ass on the percentage-wise.
I
Cooking
dropped a
me.
percentage. I did drop a
Yeah.
percentage
You
though,
did.
so
I was like, thank God, dude. I'm like, finally, dude. I'm like, finally
I
got a bad
know.
week from Rami, dude. I was like, dude, this guy's been whooping my ass. For those who don't know, whooping my ass
Um,
week after week after week. I'm like,
I had
oh,
a
even if
7
it's a tie, well, it's still tie. I'm like, come on,
I had a 7 week streak, dude. I was like, oh,
bro.
it's never gonna end. Then we got a draw, and I was like, that's nothing for me.
For real. You're like, well,
It
it
was
wasn't a
catching
loss.
up one way or another.
It's a miracle.
It
It
wasn't a
is a
loss of
miracle.
time, but then you were like, you slammed the gavel. You were the judge, jury, executioner for this week.
Bro.
But
It was clutch.
Bolaji Oki had 2 canceled fights prior to Mason Jones before he finally got Michael Oswell on this past May 31st. He was supposed to fight Markel Medeiros. That didn't happen. Abdul Karim Al Sawali didn't happen. He had gotten choked out by Chris Duncan, which is really Chris Duncan, and that's no diss to him. But of course, this fight turned out a way that no one thought it would. Oki has so much power. He's a very, very powerful striker, and when he clashes with your jaw, that's it. That's it. You know what I mean? You're done for it. That wasn't the case for Mason Jones. He gets dropped, whole crowd explodes. It looks like he's out of it. He looks like he's done for. He survives, gets the takedown, and Oki gassed out. There was no way around. He gassed out. He got his back taken. He was getting beat up the whole time. Referee was like, "Damn, brother, you good?" Second round comes in, another takedown. He got a big sweep. He got the sweep takedown.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Once he got the top mount, it was just over for Oki. Punches after punches, blow after blow, elbow. There was so many instances where he was getting. So if anyone ever says, "Oh, he wasn't giving up chances," watch that fight. He was given so many chances to be able to get out of that, bounce out of it, get out,
100%.
and survive another day. That didn't happen. Mason Jones picks up this massive win, jaw of steel, bounces back, takedown, and then shows Oki why you cannot stop Mason Jones. What were your thoughts on this big fight here for Mason Jones? Which I believe, of course, his big opener to the UFC. He needed this one more than anything. After going the distance with Jeremy Stephens about this past May, with Jeremy Stephens' big return, people are like, Mason, I don't know how to feel about that. And then he bounces back in a very big way just a couple months later. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, dude, I was feeling good early on with our pick. I'm like, Oki, dropped him early. I'm like, okay, this is looking like it's going to go our way. I love it. Might have splashed a little bit on the betting with the underdog Oki. And unfortunately for that, but fortunately for our entertainment-wise, we're able to see these two scrap it out for as long as they did and saw the tides turn so hard in that first round where Oki was dominating early and then Mason Jones turned it all around somehow, gets his own knockdown, and then from there he starts to dominate the fight, throwing him around, and made Oki look like he didn't belong in that second round. It was crazy turnaround. It went from one dude's dominating to now the other guy's dominating, and the guy that started out well is fading fast. And Mason Jones, once he got on top, those elbows were relentless. He was not getting off until the ref pulled him off. And that's exactly what happened. Unfortunately for our pick, but it was so entertaining. I love it either way.
Exactly. I love it either way. no matter the situation, Mason Jones really proved himself in there to prove that, hey, you get into the a fight with me, lightweight division, I can either take you down or I can survive those big blows and I can just get back in there and then finish you off. So
For real.
good on him. Mason Jones gets a bonus here, the third bonus of the night.
Well earned.
So well earned, 50K. Our next fight, Modestus Bukauskas against Paul Bear Drew Craig. I believe Paul Craig retired, right?
Yep. The final
He
fight.
his final fight, he competed, of course, now former mixed martial artist Paul Craig went against Modestus Bukauskas and just domination, elbows galore is what we saw. And at the end of the fight, they just called it off, doctor stoppage. It was just too much, and just crazy fight from Modestus. You expect it from him, but Paul Craig is also a guy where he's been through so much in the UFC. A fighter that I can compare him to with the amount of competition he's gotten and the amount of competition he has endured, Gerald Mearshart. Those
Yeah.
two have always been such great ground fighters, but when they're given these opponents like Modestus Bukauskas, Rodolfo Bellato, Bo Nickel, Caio Borralho, Brandon Allen, Johnny Walker, Volkan Oezdemir, Alonzo Menifield, Jimmy Crute,
Yeah.
Khalil Roundtree, Tyson Pedro, all of those fighters that I named have all beaten Paul Craig. But other than that, he's defeated Magomed Ankalaev, the former champion. He's defeated Kenny Nzechukwu. He's defeated Mauricio Shogun Hua, Jamal Hill, Nikita Krylov. He's beaten guys who are either current or former champions.
Yeah, it's
and then
insane.
and then he's in these situations where, of course, he can't pull out the big win over Modestus, and then it finds a way to bite him in the ass.
Yeah.
And his last fight, especially having to deal with his opponent, like fucking spazzing out,
Yeah,
seeing some
spazzing out.
aliens, seeing some Sixth Sense and whatever, and we're just like, what the hell is going on here? But no, Paul Craig takes the loss here, and official end to his career. What were your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, hate to see him go out like that. Where that was a brutal elbow to end the first round, buzzer beater almost. Like that was just one of the most nasty elbows I've seen from the ground and pound position. And Bukauskas throws with some bad intent in there, and I think that Craig felt that and was probably like, "Nah, man, I'm too old for this shit. I'm retiring," because it's been a rough go for the last few years for him. After he had such a promising start to his UFC career, subbing so many guys. After that Jamal Hill submission where he snapped his arm, I was thinking, sky's the limit here. He's already beaten Magomed. What more can this guy do? Unfortunately, it never really came together all the way, but he put on some great fights and against some great fighters, like you were saying. So shout out to him, man. He put on a great career. This wasn't his night. Modestus did what he needed to do and did it in nasty fashion. So now that's 4 wins in a row for Modestus and looking as dangerous as ever for sure.
And what I would like to see from Paul Craig next, whether he's a teacher or whether he's a competitor, I would like to see him in UFC BJJ. Since we have brought that in, he is a black belt under, of course, Brian Gallagher. Has fights at the higher level martial arts school. He has great ground game. If he doesn't want to take any punches in the face, UFC BJJ is right there. Him against Maisi Musameki, you know what I mean? Like a crazy open weight fight. You know what I mean? Like, set up a big main event. Maisi Musameki against Paul Craig. Huh, Evan?
Crazier things have happened in BJJ.
You know
we've seen some crazy things.
Exactly. I would like to see that big weight advantage to where Paul's gonna take him out, because Mikey is such a nice guy and he's so dangerous. Like as soon as he gets into the ground, that's it. You're stuck there. You're stuck there until you say, "I don't want to be here anymore." And that's not the case for a lot of guys. They like to endure those cauliflower ears and all that strangling. But good on Modestus, who did not get a bonus for this one. Could you imagine? You retire your opponent, and then like, yeah, That's great, but now you just lost us some
Like
money, and you're like,
no
what do you mean
bonus.
lost us some money? No bonus. We save money, but no bonus. Like okay. Um, our next fight was a wild one because I didn't expect this. I didn't expect. By the
Nope.
way, got us for Bukakis. We got the win right there. We were looking all good for ourselves and everything. I was like, hey brother, hey, looks good for me.
Let's go, baby.
Um,
Roofie time.
yeah, exactly. A roofie time, and then it wasn't roofie time. Benoit Saint
Not at
Denis
all.
finally found his groove again. Benoit Saint Denis finally found where he belongs. To quote the Linkin Park song, "Somewhere I Belong," was definitely screaming at the TV like, "What the hell is going on here?" We have not seen a performance from him in Paris like that in quite some time. Last time he
Hmm.
was there was 2024 against Renato Moicano, but he was dominated. He was busted open. He was battered. Everything about his night was just shit. In 2023, he fought Thiago Moises, and he had the fight of the night for knocking him out in the second round. It was a beautiful performance.
Yeah.
He goes to fight Matt Frivola. He beats him by a head kick. He fought Dustin Poirier, and in exchange to where if I beat Dustin Poirier, I'm coming for the championship next. And Dustin Poirier pulled off the freaking craziest upset in the whole world. And by upset, I'm not saying I was upset, but come on. Benoit
Mm.
Saint Denis took him down 50 times in a row. He was Khabib Nurmagomedov, and all of a sudden, you get to the second round after he uses up all of his wrestling, and then Dustin has that big blow, took him out. He fought against Renato Moicano, took him out, and then we were wondering ourselves, oh, what's gonna happen next? He fought Kyle Prepelic, beat him by submission, but it was one of those situations where we were scared. We talked about that, where we said if he stood up the whole time, it would have been a bad situation for him. When he fought Mauricio Ruffy this past weekend, there was a moment where he went for the takedown, got caught with the knee, and I thought his body was going to go limp and collapse right there. He held
Mm.
onto the thighs, took him down, took the back, was landing his blows, and then when he finally got the face crank in, he put him to sleep in the second round in 2 minutes and 56 seconds to earn himself a performance of the night bonus. What were your thoughts on Benoit Saint Denis continuing his winning ways 2-0 now on the
Yeah.
last two fights and getting back into the win column?
Huge statement win for him. I was riding with Ruthie coming into here. I was like, all right, we haven't seen BSD beat anyone that good in a while. I mean, Kyle Prepelic, I mean, talk about layup. I think it might have been on short notice, but yeah, definitely was not the toughest opponent for him. But this next one was not a layup by any means. That's why I was riding with Roofy. We've seen Roofy been looking amazing, knocking dudes out with ease, looking great, looking fun. The Fighting Nerds, we've seen that whole team have all the momentum in the world. They're even bringing in new guys, and they're looking good. We've seen Mikhail Olakjacek come in and looks like a whole new fighter, absolutely dominating. And we're thinking that was going to continue, but BSD had other plans and really put the hold on the hype train a little bit for Roofy here and showed him that he definitely needs to work on his grappling. I definitely think they will work on that a lot in camp going forward because he was looking out of depth against someone as good as BSD on the ground, where when he's able to control you and he has that strength advantage, he's going to take advantage of it the whole night. And he was able to find the finish. And this is the BSD we knew and was thinking could be a title contender. This is the guy we saw. So I'm thinking that if this could be back, that'll be awesome for us entertainment wise. Like I was saying, both of these guys are only 29 years old, so they'll both have a long career ahead of them. So who knows? Maybe in a few years they'll run it back for even more on the line.
And you're right about that. I cannot wait to see what does happen next. He is speaking right now on the Ariel Helwani show. He said in 2024 things got big and I was not able to manage pressure. I had a lack of humility. When fights are getting this huge, you get opportunities and you can lose a bit of yourself. I do believe I lost myself doing too much stuff and not concentrating on the real goal of a fighter. That only goes through work. It doesn't go through media. It doesn't go through shining. It only goes through hard work and dedication to this game. He also mentioned on what's next, saying anybody inside the top 10 will be a great opportunity. Of course, I want to fight Mateus Gamrot. He's a very talented fighter. He's been in the top 10 for a very long time. It would be a great fight. He also mentioned I'm even looking at Rafael Fasaiv or Charles Oliveira. If somebody gets injured, I do really believe I'm back to the version I want to fight as much and win as much as possible. I'm looking for opportunities.
I like
So
it.
if we are gonna see, of course, Oliveira fight in Brazil. If we can get Benoit Saint Denis in that situation, that's enemy territory. It'll definitely be a feeling of Stipe Miocic against Fabricio Werdum many years ago, moons ago, to where we saw that knockout from the Croatian put Fabricio Werdum down in Brazil, and the whole crowd was silent. So I would love to see these two fight each other. It would definitely be a very, especially for Steve as well. For Steve against Benoit Saint Denis, we've seen what he can do against wrestlers, and we see how he can stop them
Yeah,
with those knees. If he can stop Benoit Saint Denis a couple of times, who knows what can happen? But
100%.
that was a big bonus for him. He's been able to turn things around, Benoit. We picked Ruffy to win, but of course we were wrong. And I'm glad. There's so many moments where I'm glad I'm wrong about fights because when it turns out like this, you need it. Mauricio Ruffy will bounce back. He will get back to a better place. But Benoit Saint Denis is a guy where you put him against a contender, he loses. Put him against contender, again, he loses. He finally gets, back into the win column with Kyle Pepelich, and then you're thinking to yourself, that's Kyle Pepelich. We're
Mm-hmm.
not really thinking of him in that same light as other top tier fighters. No disrespect
100%.
towards him,
Yeah.
but it's one of those situations where you want to fight a top 5, top 10 guy, and Benoit Saint Denis is always pushing for that. So when he fights Mauricio Ruffy, somebody who's dominated with fighting nerds, someone who's killed it, and as you saw, Gene Silva was watching that fight. He punched the
Mm-hmm.
wall. He was pissed. He was angry. Like, come on. It's the reality of the fight game. You can
Yep.
win, and then you finally get that opponent who studies you so much. He knows your every in and out. He knows when you're gonna use the bathroom. He knows what time you eat lunch. He knows, when he can throw you into a pool on a hot summer day. He's never gonna stop himself. So
Yeah.
Benoit Saint Denis, big win for him. I would like to see him fight Gamrot. It would definitely be a big push fight. And it's something that we could get even in November or December. Get these fighters, on the roll. Who knows how it could happen? But I could see
Hell
it
yeah.
happening in the near future. After that is our main event, and it was basically to determine who was gonna win this. You know what I mean?
For
Who
real,
was going to walk
we
away
had all the
with the
same pick
win? I did.
until the final one.
And I was like, damn, we kind of fucked up here. I was like, I should have
Yeah.
went for somebody different in a couple of fights, but I'm like, I also like to see how crazy the fights can get with the picks
Oh
that we
yeah.
make. Because
For
sometimes
real,
we
bro.
dominate,
Yeah.
and then there's sometimes where
Sometimes
we're
it'll be
like,
beautiful. And then I'll be
what,
like, okay,
what?
I'll switch it up just to get that perfect record. I get greedy. I'm like, I want that perfect record. Let me switch up some ones. And then none of my ones that are a little bit, controversial will hit. I'm like, dang, bro. But that's like you said, bro. Theater of the unpredictable. You never know what you're going to get. It ends up being something completely unexpected most of the time.
I'm sorry, I just saw, sorry, I just got a notification that this one professional wrestler who just came back is already injured again.
Oh, my.
Like, this is the third time
Dude.
now. He comes back injured, comes back injured, comes back and then injured. I'm like, brother, you're so ripped and shredded. What's going on here? Like, oh my
For
God,
real.
he
What the
hasn't even
hell?
wrestled. He hasn't wrestled even. That's the crazy part. He just came back, did a couple of power bombs, and then now he's injured. I'm like, okay, crazy world we live in, man. Crazy world. But my apologies for getting off track. But Nassourdine Imavov was in the headliner against Caio Borralho, the fighting nerd, of course. And
Oh, yeah.
I messaged a couple of friends as soon as this fight started, and I said, Caio's gonna lose. I didn't even have to think about it. Caio was gonna lose. He looked uncomfortable in there. He looked like he just did not. It didn't look like he didn't want to be in there. It just looked like he was dealing with too much pressure. To where a
Yeah.
lot of fighters say, before a fight, I puke. Before a fight, I'm so nervous. I freaking have like so much, sweat going down my face. I don't know how to, handle the situation. And that's what it felt like with this one. It felt like he was just
Mm.
dealing with too much pressure on his back. And that when he finally got in there, Nassourdine, who's coming off a massive knockout win over Israel Adesanya, was on top of the world. He was feeling himself. There was nothing to be nervous about. If I could be a GOAT like Izzy, what is Caio going to do to me? And
Yeah.
that's what the whole situation was. He was crisp with his punching. He was crisp with his boxing.
Yeah.
Got a lot of that clinch work. Caio tried to get the clinch against the cage, switched it right around. Like it felt like repeat of Roman Dolici's performance against what's his name, Anthony Fluffy Hernandez, and to where we saw Fluffy get clinched, and we're like, oh, how is he gonna handle his stamina heading into the next 4 rounds? And he dominated. It was
Yeah.
Roman Dolici who we had to worry about, and that was the situation with Caio Borralho. We had to worry I had to worry so much about, oh, it doesn't look like he wants to be in there. Oh, he's taking too many hits. He's not being the same fighter that he used to be. And I don't know, maybe it was because of his last fight. His last fight, from what the records show, he fought Jared Cannonier, and he beat him 5 rounds, fight of the night. It was a pretty close one too. Prior to that, knocked out Paul Craig. He beat up Serpian Magomedov, Mikhail Oleshek. He submitted him. Armin Petrosian, he beat him. There were so many fighters. Even in Dana White's Contender Series, he was on there twice, and he got big wins on there. There was moments where Kyle was like, that guy's next for the championship. You cannot hate on him. And then he gets dominated here, 5 rounds straight. Even the eye pokes or the nut kicks and whatnot, minus that, because they both experienced the same type of situations. Nassourdine Imavov walked away with a beautiful and dominant performance, and that's already I believe 5 in a row now. Just he's been so crazy.
Yeah.
I believe his last loss was to. It sounds like there's a bomb plane right outside your window.
Dude,
like, oh my god! So,
it's finally here. Ah! My screen just goes black.
So his last loss was in 2023, January 14, to Sean Strickland on a fight night in Las Vegas, Nevada, in his light heavyweight debut. He moved back down to middleweight, and what do you call it? He had dealt with Chris Curtis, the accidental head clash. And then everyone was like, oh, Nassourdine is not going to really do well. I don't know why he's even here. He beats Roman Dolisi by majority decision. He knocks out Jared Cannonier. He beats Brendan Allen, who was just dominating every single person in his path. And then he follows it up with a knockout over Israel Adesanya. Everyone was like, Israel Adesanya against Nassourdine Imavov is going to be easy. And all it took was a big sweep jab, and then that was it. Adesanya got dropped. He got taken out in 2 rounds. That's
the main reason I picked Imavov, bro. I'm a big Izzy fan, so once he did that, I was like, I got to rock him.
And that's the thing, too. It was such a fight where you didn't know who to pick, but then once that fight started, you're like, oh, no. Oh, man.
Right,
Imavov was so different. He did not look phased in there. He was so angry. Every strike that landed hurt worse than the last one. But what were your thoughts on this main event, and what were your thoughts on Nassourdine Imavov picking up this big win?
Yeah, like you were saying about Borralho looking a little weird in there, a little bit unprepared, a little bit, not fully prepared for the moment. Maybe it has something to do with Rufy getting dominated directly before, where these guys are teammates. He's probably expecting Rufy to go out there, put on a show, and he sees the complete opposite. Rufy gets shut down, not be able to do anything really, not show any of his weapons. Unfortunately, just get dominated by BSD and finished. So maybe that was weighing heavy on his mind, and then he just couldn't fully lock in for the fight. But either way, man, what a performance from Imavov. Like you were saying, he's just one of those dudes at this point where he's proven himself to be a top contender, dude. People are saying maybe he shouldn't get a title shot. I mean, I guess maybe if he wants to stay active and Khamzat isn't ready to fight for a long time, then I could see it. But I definitely think this is a top contender. Either him or Fluffy, but at this point, just give it to him because I think he's just had a better resume. I'm like, all these back-to-back-to-back. Roman Dolidze, the guy who Fluffy just beat. And people are saying Fluffy did the title shot, which I agree with eventually, but I think Imavov first. Jared Cannonier, Brendan Allen, Izzy. I'm like, all these back-to-back-to-back. I'm like, okay. And now Borralho, I'm like, this is ridiculous. The streak he's on. After he got destroyed by Strickland, I was really wondering if this guy's just not even legit. But ever since then, he's been locked the fuck in. That no contest with Chris Curtis is a little road bump, but, man, he's looking amazing. Give him the title shot already. I think that him and Khamzat are a really, really interesting matchup because I think if it's able to stay on the feet, then I'm definitely favoring Imavov. But that's a tall task against someone like freaking Khamzat who has been able to ragdoll almost everyone in there.
Yeah, literally, like it's a 98% ragdoll possibility when it was Robert
Yeah.
Chimaev. The only
Facts.
2% was Gilbert, barely, you know what I mean? But like Gilbert survived, but we didn't. Gilbert's not the same guy that he used to be.
Yeah.
But RDR and Fluffy Hernandez are two guys who definitely deserve the next shot, I believe, at the middleweight championship because they dominated in such a way where like they killed it with the wrestling or they killed it with the defense that you think to yourself, oh, what's gonna happen next? RDR, all he had to do of course, Bo Nickel and Robert Whitaker was get that clinch in and get those knees to the
For
ribs.
real.
Even though, even if he got dropped, and he still came back in a better way than we've seen other fighters, what they've dealt with. Same thing with Fluffy Hernandez. We've seen him dominate. We've seen him wrestle. We've seen him, get the choke in, and we've seen him even drag people with the choke. Like he's the Grim Reaper. And Hamza
Yeah.
Chimaev needs an opponent where you are determined on what they're gonna do. And then the three fighters that we think of right now, of course, Audemars, Fluffy, and Nassourdine Imavov are all guys who truly deserve a shot.
For
Sean
real.
Strickland might think, oh, I deserve a shot here. The only person that deserves a shot, like if they wanted to, coming off a loss, dropping down the weight, Alex Pereira. Pereira against
Yeah,
Hamza
right.
Chimaev will be a crazy,
That would be
crazy fight
wild.
because if Pereira gets taken down and gets his back taken and choked out, people are like, his hype is gone, his aura is gone. Sean Strickland, he's never had any aura. He's never had any hype really about him, except for that big win over Izzy Adesanya. People are like, oh, he's gonna do big things with the championship. And in his first defense, he loses it to Duplessis, then loses the rematch, and then since then, it's just been a very confusing outcome for him because like, is he gonna fight anybody? Is he gonna go
Yeah.
out there and actually do something with his career? I don't know. It feels like he enjoys more time being suspended and having to deal with the community, thinking, oh, should we even let you fight anytime soon?
Yeah.
Um,
Don't give it to Strickland
but
for real. One of those three, and then the other two fight each other. Then that's perfect.
it, perfect, exactly. And then you know, great main event, great card, great win for you. Finally, you know what I mean? Like finally getting that big win, getting that
Let's
motherfucker.
go.
What time is it for you? What time is it for you?
It's winning time, baby. It's winning time. If
Ex-
after about how
exactly,
many months? Like at least 2 months, 3 months. Rami
exactly.
was
2 months.
bringing out the belt, but I finally took the belt out of his hand and started doing it
My
myself.
hat, my hat. Like my God. Oh,
Bro,
but
I'm coming for that.
I'm very
I'm
happy.
on my way. I expect it to be shipped.
Oh,
Express
please, bitch.
delivery. Next day, please. That way, I'll be
Next
able to wear it for
next
the
day
next.
shipping, next day shipping, and your first day on that weekend, you have a hat on. Your girl
Yeah,
tells you, please take it off. But I won. Like
like, sorry,
I've been
it
waiting
paid off.
I've been waiting months for this
I've
motherfucker.
earned this.
But that was the end of the card from the Accor Arena in Paris, France. The UFC's visit was a very big success. So much action happened, so many different ranking contenders, so many different situations where Ante Delija is making a big push now. We saw Sam
Yeah,
Hughes
I did
get
not
that
see
big
that
win to
coming.
open up the card. Hernán Fadakinov, it's of course getting that big win over Gustafsson. Robert Brzezek, Sam Patterson, Fernandez, Sai, Sola, Mason Jones and his strong chin,
Yeah,
Boudakis, ending the career
we
of
were
Paul
blessed.
Craig, Benoit Saint Denis ending Mercio Ruffy's hype train for the time being, and then Nassourdine Imavov proving once again why he deserves to be next in line for the championship. You beat Izzy already enough, and then you beat a rising contender like Caio Borralho. So it's just gonna be very, very interesting to see how the next fights go. But our next fight card, thankfully, will be during the day. But I'm very, very, nervous and confused as to how this fight's gonna go, how this day's gonna go, because this upcoming Saturday we have UFC Noche, which is in San Antonio, Texas, Mexican heritage. They were supposed to happen in Mexico. Again, they don't. Like, they had it in the Sphere, and I was like, okay, that's cool. They didn't want to do it again at the Sphere. They wanted to do it now in San Antonio after so many different mix-ups happen. I personally thought Guadalajara, Mexico, was going to get this card this month, and we were going to get Volkanovski and Yair Rodriguez for this
Mhm.
Noche card. But we didn't because Volkanovski went from I want to fight Yair. I want to fight Gamrot. Like, I want to fight all. Yeah, I want to fight all these guys. And then now he has a new contender in his way, with of course Lerone Murphy. So
Yeah,
maybe the UFC's thinking about a London card to book it around, like let them go
I
overseas,
could see
have
that.
themselves a ball. You know what I mean? Like, it's really becoming that type of situation to where Volkanovski's next defense has to be a true contender because any of these guys can really beat him if they put their all into it. We've seen it happen before. Volkanovski used to be indestructible. He's finally won the championship back. Now it's time to see if he can be fully indestructible once again. But this
Yeah,
weekend will be huge. We will finally get the Ultimate Fighter 33 welterweight finale. We had gotten
finally.
the other finale at the pay-per-view. And I'd say it's on UFC No Chat. I'm like, damn, it's been over a fucking month now, pal. We even had a
Yeah,
whole we even had a whole fucking 2 week break. But and
yeah,
then they still were like,
true,
we don't think so, pal. Paris, fuck them, fuck the big ass. Like, whoa, what the hell is going on
true.
there? But this card should be a really good fun one. We have so many like, of course, Mexican talent names and whatnot that are gonna, of course, embrace the culture, embrace how they're gonna be going into this one. It's no longer the Sphere card. It is in San Antonio, Texas. Zachary Reese will be back against Sajinskis Dumas. Tatiana Soares, she is back. She'll be fighting Amanda Lemos. Very tough challenge, but from what we've been able to see from Tatiana Soares, whenever it comes to using her wrestling, she's a great wrestler.
Hmm.
She's the female Khabib. She's been able to dominate so much. Her title fight didn't go well, but she's definitely still top of her game. Um, then we get Claudia Porelles against Joaquin Silva. That should be a very, very interesting one, especially in the lightweight division. And then the featured prelim, huh? Alexander Hernandez. He just fought. Didn't he just knock out Chase Hooper?
Yeah,
He will be
throwing
fighting
him back
Carlos
on.
Diego Ferreira. He'll be fighting Carlos Diego Ferreira in that featured prelim. And then when we get to the main card, Santiago Luna against Quang Lee, Calvin Gastelum against Dustin Solfis, Rafa Garcia against Jared Gordon. The co-main event, David Martinez against Rob Font. And then our main event, the Fighting Nerds are back. But this time,
Bro,
Gene
revenge.
Silva against Diego Lopez. And it's gonna be revenge. All Silva's so angry right now. He's thinking of all this anger. Caio lost, Mauricio lost. We can't be dealing with this. And he's gonna go into this next fight. And we already know he throws bombs already.
Yeah,
Last time around, he waited until he got the choke in on Bryce Mitchell just so he could punish him even more for all the stuff that he was saying. Diego Lopez is a strong, gritty fighter. He's only lost about like what, once or twice or so. Like it's very rare for him to lose, and
yeah.
it's not rare for him to enter dangerous situations like this. So I cannot wait to see what happens. Our picks are gonna be. I think our picks are gonna be definitely different going into
Yeah,
this one. We're
I'm
gonna because
hyped.
there's so much to think about. There's so much to look into of how these fighters performed in the last one, how these fighters are going to perform in their training camp, if they're dealing with any nagging injuries. Will any fighter pull out? But so far, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We have 14 fights on the card. Usually, we have 12. We had an extra 2, so it's definitely going to be a very good long prelim. And then we're going to see that main card just, highlight everybody and, see how things go. Especially so Rob Font and Raul Rosas Jr. were scheduled to meet at bantamweight bout. However, Rosas Jr. Withdrew due to a rib injury and was replaced by David Martinez. Martinez was originally expected to face Carlos Vera at this event before the latter withdrew and was placed by Quang Lee. Following Martinez's reassignment to the co-main event, Lee was matched with promotional newcomer Santiago Luna. So of course that's why we got a new opener, we got a new co-main event. It's going to be very exciting because there's so much, to look into, so much
Yeah,
research, and that's what we have to do. Really, that's what we usually do. When it comes to the rest of the week, we research these fighters, we get into our predictions, and either we have a great one like we did past couple of weeks, or we have some crazy clusterfuck like we had
yep.
this past weekend. And so I'm very, very excited for this. That fight will be this upcoming weekend, September 13th at the Frostbank Center, which is where I believe the San Antonio Spurs play. So That should be a good
Oh,
one.
yeah, I might.
Instead instead of seeing dunks, you'll be seeing a lot of people fall on their back in the craziest posters.
Lots of flagrants.
Exactly. Before we do let everyone go, of course, that's the end for the MMA side. I did want to bring up this.
Oh, I did
I
take a
did
L
this past
here.
week. Yeah, like it's like MMA wise, like, you dominated the fuck out of it. But of course, like football wise, it's
Dominated
so
is a
crazy.
rough stretch.
Week, week
One
one,
win.
crazy work. You know what I mean? Yesterday was the most exciting day of football I've ever experienced for week one in quite some
Yeah,
time. Last couple of years,
most
it's been
painful
very
day.
iffy. It's been very iffy, but it's been also very, very awesome. As we see here, of course, I'm gonna start naming off some people top to bottom. Sorry, bottom to top. Pudgy P is Dawson, my boy. Jacobo is my boy Susong. Brady is of course our former co-host,
The
the
legend.
creator of Talktagon.
We miss
You know what I
you.
mean? We missed you, Ben. Max, of course, is right here.
My
Ben
Baltimore
Horny.
Ravens, bro. Most painful game ever, bro. But I'm still recovering.
Craziest game
Get Harbaugh
ever. Like,
out.
holy moly. Well, one Harbaugh got a big win over Taylor Swift this past
Oh,
Friday in São Paulo, Brazil. But then, when it came to Buffalo Bills and their defense of 9/11,
bro.
as they say,
Oh my
um,
gosh.
nothing was gonna stop them from getting the ball back, and it was
Bro.
the timeout. The timeout was so crucial. Oh, that
Yeah.
timeout was the most
Oh,
craziest
yeah.
moment in the entire world.
Bro.
Um, of course, Ben Horny is my buddy Brian. He wrestles in Philadelphia. He's a great dude. Italian, Polish, Irish. What a crazy mutt. But what do you call it? And Rob is a fella from Ohio, my good friend. I've known him since I was 14. We used to hate each other. Now we love each other. He's autistic. I'm an immigrant, so you know how it goes. Sean is Sean. There's so many stories that is about this guy. It's crazy. He's also a Philly native. So anybody that you know from Philly is always just a kind of weirdo. It's like okay. And then of course me at first place. Surprisingly enough, because I'm so mad at myself. I want to go with the Chargers, and I wanted myself to be like the only guy to pick the Chargers, and I was so scared. I'm like, no,
Oof.
Patrick. I'm like Travis Kelce is living the life of a showgirl. I'm not gonna go against that. Apparently, it's a flop. So you know what I mean.
Bro. Apparently.
It's so funny how because Sean lives in Philly, but he's a Dallas Cowboys fan. It's weird stuff. So he's the only guy to root for Dallas.
That
Every
is
week we
wild.
see Dallas, 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 Dallas. I'll be the same with the Rams. Of course, Tampa, we got the big sweep on that. Cincinnati, the only person to pick it was Dawson for Cleveland. He's in Canada, but he roots for the Browns. Like, okay.
Okay.
Miami.
I didn't see that one coming.
30-8, and the
Got
quarterback
fucked.
for Indianapolis. Do you know who the quarterback is?
Daniel Dante. Oh my
Crazy work.
god.
How is Danny Dimes doing this if he couldn't do it for New York?
Well,
Which speaking of New York, they got fucked badly. Where was it? Who did they face?
They faced
Washington?
Washington. Everyone picked that one, right? No one picked him.
No one picked Russell Wilson whatsoever. I feel like that's just like a weird thing to pick. Las Vegas pulled out a crazy one. I thought Tommy DeVito would have a great game, but that was not the case whatsoever. Arizona, come on. New Orleans.
We'll take it.
I thought they lost Derek Carr. I was like, I'm good with Derek. I'm good with New Orleans. They lost Derek Carr. They lost Drew Brees. It's over with. It's a wrap. Pittsburgh. I love how a majority of us picked it, except for, of course, Susong Jacobo. Which is the first name I ever met him by was Jacobo. He was like, I am the great Jacobo. And then so we all changed our names in Call of Duty to different Mexican names. Juan, Jose, Javier, all these names. And we were all in there just playing mariachi music. And I can say that. I'm Salvadoran, so I can use any Spanish name I want to. So like nobody can get mad at me. But that Pittsburgh game was even crazier. That was a 1-point game.
Aaron Rodgers, though.
The Jets get the touchdown. People told them go for the field goal. They wanted to get the 2-point conversion. They failed at it, and then Aaron Rodgers pulled out a massive play with the pass interference, of course. But Washington, big sweep. I went with Jacksonville Tony Khan, the owner of AEW, he is the also co-owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I was like, I'm going straight up with that. I'm so glad that you did. It's just so funny too, because I was like, the only people that went with Jacksonville are the ones that would support AEW. You know, Brady, me, I think Susong. Of course, if you watch wrestling, I feel like you'd be more of a fan of the extreme arts of of AEW, especially.
Yeah,
Um,
I can get down
Denver
with it.
against exactly Denver against Tennessee. Look at Brady. Poor,
Brady.
poor Brady is like that one guy in there who picked Tennessee, and I would pick Tennessee too, but I was like, there's no Fitz magic here. Um, San Francisco, of course, over Seattle. The only one picked that was Jacobo because his brother's a big, of course, Seattle Seahawks fan. Crazy enough. So I was like, I can understand that. I used to be a Seattle Seahawks fan because I had a crush on a girl when I was 12. So I was like, man, Russell Wilson, hell yeah, brother. So I give it what I mean.
Mr.
But then I became,
Unlimited.
but then I became a fan of them because I was like, the Legion of Boom, I thought was the coolest thing in the world.
Yeah, true.
Green Bay, Green Bay pulled out a massive upset over Detroit. I don't think anybody expected Detroit to lose that one.
No, especially getting ass whooped for real.
I know. I was like, you guys got Jared Goff. Like, what's Campbell doing in the background? No Campbell's chicken noodle soup. Crazy stuff. Then of course you, Bryant, Brady, and of course Dawson picked Houston. You bastards. And the Rams pulled out that big one.
Big
I'm
mistake.
so happy. I'm so happy. The Rams are 1-0. The Chargers are 1-0. Los Angeles is finally on top.
For
it's
real.
crazy enough. This is, I think, the first time ever Vegas, Chargers, and the Rams are all 1-0 in the division.
Oh yeah, what the?
Crazy work. And then that last game before tonight's game is gonna be crazier. Which I'm gonna wish you a lot of luck. I'm gonna wish you so much luck because of your pick.
Who would I pick
going
again?
with Chicago.
Oh yeah.
Chicago, my guy. You and Dawson are the only two to pick Chicago. I'm like,
I don't believe in JJ McCarthy. Overrated. JJ McCarthy.
You're like fuck Michigan. I don't like them. Fuck
no,
you.
just
like,
look at this, bro. Detroit's offense under the new offensive coordinator was shit. Their old one is now the coach for the Bears, and they went from the best offense to complete shit. Caleb Williams might be cooking. We'll see.
Hey, I always like Caleb, of course, because he's from here, of course, the West Coast, and I rooted for him for the Chicago Bears. But I watched that game that was Thanksgiving, I believe it was, where they let off the timeout. They didn't go for the field goal. They didn't want to get that win. I was like, bogus team.
I remember that.
Horrible. I'm not gonna bother
just a rookie.
This one.
They have a new coach.
Exactly. So hopefully tonight is
let me cook.
Tonight, you know what I mean? Let him cook.
Here we go.
Let him cook. Because I will say, if you do win, that does, of course, knock you up a place. You will be over Brian, and you will be over, I believe, Rob as well. So
shit.
You know,
that's gonna be up to third.
That'll lift. It's like I was looking at this. I was thinking F1, like podiums and everything. Like each week we have a new podium. Right now, I feel like I'm in McLaren, but I'm currently Red Bull. You know, Max Verstappen getting that win over, of course, McLaren this past weekend. I don't know why Sean's there. Rob being there is a shocker too, because if I show you the screenshot yesterday, which I will, Susong was number 1. He was 7-2, and now he's 8-7.
Yeah, that is insane.
Craziness of football predictions, my friend. Like it's just the craziest and coolest thing in the world. That's the big reason why I wanted to do this, and I wanted to invite as many people as possible. I feel like 8 is the right number. You know what I mean? We have 4 on 4. However, we get to playoffs, and the next 16 weeks. 16 weeks are gonna be so crazy. It's gonna be great. But of course, thank you to the 485 people who right now would just listen to us talk football. You know what I mean? Like
shout out to y'all.
You know, football slam, you know, we give it, body foot, you know what I mean? Like, what do we call it? What do we call ourselves? I don't know, but every week we
body slam. Body slam tackle.
Every body slam tackle, body tackle, you know what I mean? Tackle slam, you know what I mean? But I think every week I will make it a trend to where we include that because it's such a cool
fun little thing to end.
It's a little fun thing to end it off with, and it's so much fun. I love that the people who tune in for this. Sadly, I think Randy's gone. I think Randy retired from the watching game.
It's the break, bro. The 1 week break.
I know. Like, I think he took much of a long. Like, it was such a long break for Randy. He was like, "These bastards ain't coming back. I'm gone here." But Thank you so much to everybody who tuned in. All 488 of you. We are about to hit that 500 mark and 12 more people if we can get that in like a minute. But other than that, thank you so much to everybody who did tune in. UFC Paris was a success. We will be back again next week because the UFC will be in San Antonio, Texas, regular start time, and we will be seeing Gene Silva against Diego Lopez in a fight that nobody, and I mean nobody, should be missing whatsoever. This fight could determine the next contender for that championship. And if it's Gene Silva, you're gonna need more than men at work to be down under. You know what I mean? Like it's gonna be a crazy, crazy world. Thank you so much, Akez. Max, what can they find you on?
Follow me at Combat Convos on Twitter/X, and then follow me at Brawl and Draw on Instagram. Bunch of combat sports art, no wrestling, but boxing and MMA if y'all are into that. But yeah, thank you guys as always for tuning in. Have so much fun talking UFC with Rami every week, baby. And I finally got, the up on him on predictions, even though it was 1 win over 500. A win is a win, baby.
A win is a win. If you're not first, you're last. Ricky Bobby said it best.
Amen.
You know what I mean? Exactly. Amen. Wonder Bread on top. Baby Jesus would be proud. But so, thank you so much. Of course, we will be back next week. It was such a great time. I cannot wait to see what happens. I'm gonna try my best to get back into that win column. I'm gonna do everything I can. I'm gonna feel like that old man in Toy Story 2 when he was putting Woody back together. I'm doing my research. I'm putting that arm back together. We're getting back into the fight game.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Thank you so much. If you're having a good morning, if you're having a good afternoon, if you're having a good night, and you're watching this, we thank you so much for tuning in to the 29th edition of Talktagon. Next week will be fireworks after UFC Noche, the Mexican heritage, of course, for the UFC, and we will have episode 30. What will happen? We don't fucking know, but you're gonna have to tune in to be able to see that happen. Thank you so much. We bid you farewell, and we will see you next week. America. Thank you.
Thank you.